Welcome to Skyler Jarvis Media.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Skyler Jarvis.
What's up, everybody? This is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler, and today I got a very special guest in the building. Say hello to Nick Vogt.
How's it going, y'all?
So, Nick, were you born blind?
No, I was not.
So, what caused you to go blind?
Baby shaking syndrome.
Baby shaking syndrome. Okay, so one of my buddies had that as well. My buddy Chase.
It's not fun.
I bet it's not. So, how old were you when you went blind?
I was a baby.
You okay? So, what was life like growing up, learning everything? How basically to live in the world?
Well, basically like a sighted person, but different. Basically you had to learn Braille. That took a lot of work to do, but once I got the hang of that, then everything was good with the Braille. Learning how to type one-handed was kind of a challenge, but mastered that.
Oh, so you're just one-handed. What happened to your other hand?
Shaken baby syndrome. It basically what it did to my brain is it damaged the right side of my brain.
So you're paralyzed on one side.
Correct.
Ah, that must suck.
It does. Having to do everything one-handed is not fun, but gotta live with it, I guess. There's no way to fix it.
So you learned how to type Braille one-handed. That's amazing, dude.
It is.
I mean, because Braille requires two hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the type on a computer, you had to use a screen reader, which I use till this day.
Definitely. So, how did you ever get to go to a blind school?
Yeah, I went to the Iowa Department for the Blind in Des Moines.
So, did you spend any time in public schools?
Yes, I went to a public school here in the town I'm in, Harlan, Iowa. I went to a public school.
Which public school was that?
Harlan Community. It's a Harlan Community High School.
Okay, so you didn't get to go to a blind school until your high school years, right?
Right.
Dag. Yeah, my mama, I begged her to let me go in 6th grade because, there was some funny stuff going on. I mean, not 6th grade per se, but 7th and 8th for sure. But I begged Mama to let me go, and she wouldn't. She was like, well, what if something happens? What if this, that, and the third? You know how parents are.
Yeah.
And she was going to let me go at 9th grade, and I finally went, and it was like a light bulb turned on, because it was like you're finally in a place where there's other blind people that function and think the way you do.
It also mattered, too, when I was a kid that I had seizures, and those were not fun.
I bet that wasn't. I've known people that had seizures, and they couldn't be around. They couldn't be around flashing lights. If we had a dance in the gym, they couldn't be there because of the disco
The
balls and
flashing
everything.
lights would
Yeah,
trigger them. Yeah.
that was fun, or that was not fun. For her especially. Her name was Sarah Thrasher, and she was a very good. She was a nice girl. She was, she had them. And this one time we had to everybody in the lunchroom, we had to go back to our classes and eat because she had an epileptic seizure and ended up hitting her friend by accident.
Ouch.
Yeah, and they just wanted to make sure she was okay, and she was all shook up about it and everything else. So what I mean. Shout out Sarah Thrasher.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Sarah.
So what was so when you would have these seizures? What? When did you start having them?
If I could remember, I think it was about when I was a baby.
Oof.
Cause my mom would have to come in and check on me
Wow, man. And
pretty much every night.
how long did they last? Like up until what year?
Not for sure what year, but they lasted until they took me to the doctor and got me on seizure meds.
Okay, so you haven't had them since?
No.
That's good, man. That's good. Back on, Carson. That's loud, don't you think? So, what was it like when you finally got to go to a school for the blind?
Well, you said what was it like when I went to a school for the blind?
Yeah.
In a word, it was awesome because then that way you got to meet more blind people.
Yeah. Yeah, man, for sure. So, when you graduated, what was life like when you got back into the real world and started going back home, trying to find jobs?
It was hectic because I had a lot of bullies and luckily I had a buddy that would take care of them.
That's good, man. It's always good to have one like that on your side. How was finding a job for you? Like, after.
Good.
Are you still working?
I actually have a job of my own.
Nice, man. Where do you work?
Burger King.
Burger King. Shout out Burger King. Maybe I might need to try to look for a job there.
I love Burger King, working there. Got nice workers, and they treat me very well.
And they got good food, too.
They do. My favorite sandwich is the Texas Whopper, because it's got 3 patties.
Oh, the Texas Whopper. Dude, my mama, I told her, she asked me what I wanted, because they were out getting stuff, and they were out that way. And they was like, well, what do you want from Burger King? And I was like, oh, well, I like a Whopper. Not a Whopper Junior, because they've got just so small nowadays. They're not. Papa said the Whopper Juniors weren't even as small as what they are now. But I told her not a Whopper Junior, and she comes home with this big burger. It was a bacon and cheese Whopper.
Oh, yeah, that's the best kind.
Yeah. That one was so big, and I devoured it.
Yeah. I love those kind of sandwiches because it takes a while for you to eat them.
Yes, it does. And they fill you up too.
They do.
And then quarter pounders at McDonald's do too. But
Sorry, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said quarter pounders for McDonald's do too.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it like working as a blind person at Burger King? What did you have to learn to work there, basically?
Has its challenges because I have to learn how to sweep one-handed. Then I have to learn how to mop one-handed. Luckily, I have a job coach that kind of helps me out with all that.
Right. So they just got you sweeping and mopping the floors?
Yeah.
Wow. But you say you like it there?
I do.
That's good, man. I mean, anybody that offers any blind people a chance to, I mean, that's good on them. Shout out Burger King. So, how long have you been working there?
For a while now. It's been. Oh heck, I can't remember when I started. It's been so much fun. I can't remember when I started working there.
So, it's been a while though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's good, man. I'm glad they've kept you. You know, that's one thing on this podcast I've been talking a lot about. Like, blind people are just as capable as anybody as doing some of the stuff that sighted people do. And, maybe we can't drive or, even somebody like you that's one-handed and still manages to do for himself.
Yeah, I mean it's easy. I mean, it takes a while, but and even it's hard for sometimes for a totally blind person, but not for me because I have some vision. But it takes a while to even do YouTube videos because you got to learn. You got to figure out like where the camera angle is, and then then
Right.
then edit it all together. Which actually, I'm working on a YouTube video for my channel. Actually,
Nice, man.
yeah,
Whenever we get done with this podcast, you can send me the YouTube link and I'll put it in the description so people can see it.
yeah, and I can also say it here too, if you don't mind. Subscribe to
Sorry.
Nick and Brothers Blogs. It's one of my YouTube channels.
Nick
The
and
reason
Brothers blog,
Nick and
everybody.
Brothers Blogs. Yeah, I will put it. We'll put a description for you in the below, so you guys can subscribe. The recent video right now that's up there is talking about my grandpa. He passed away yesterday.
Ah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So dealing with all that, and yeah, it's been a hectic day yesterday and a little bit today.
I bet it has, man. I lost my mama's mama in April of this year, and it was just like we knew it was gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen, and we had to play the waiting game. We didn't know when she was gonna go, but one day my mama and papa would go up there, and getting closer to her death, papa kept he kept going up there more and more and more. Well, whenever the day she died, he was up there almost all day. And yeah, so I knew something was coming, and I knew it was coming sometime or another, either that day or the next day, and it ended up being that day. Well, I was playing at the bar at a bar, local bar at the time, and I'm still good friends with the owner. But I we just pulled in to that bar, and my papa called me with the news, and it was so hectic, and like I knew she was going sometime or another, but it just hit me like a nuke.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Also, want to tell you guys too that I'm also a DJ, kind of like what you do.
Ah. Heck yeah.
I DJ on Saturdays from my house. On In the Eye Radio and 98.6 The Mix.
Nice. Yeah, my buddy Shazan, he does a radio show.
Yeah.
So nice, man. You got that going for yourself.
Yep.
So how do you manage everything one handed?
That is a good question because it's hard. I mean, you gotta learn how to use a phone one-handed. You gotta learn how to use an iPad one-handed.
iPad's probably hard.
Well, yes
it's
and
bigger.
no. The iPad I have is the iPad Pro, where it's the bigger screen.
Right.
And it's kind of like the MacBook in a way. It's kind of like navigating a computer, but like phone-wise.
Yeah, I've heard the newer iPad Pros are about as powerful as a MacBook. Heck, you don't even need a MacBook nowadays.
Yeah. But I mean, to answer your question, I mean it's challenging, but it's doable.
How was like learning how to do all that for the first time for you? Like you said it was challenging, like what kind of challenges presented themselves?
Learning how to type
Oh, yeah.
was one.
That's got to be hard. Especially because you need two hands to write Braille with. I can only imagine how hair pulling that must have been.
Oh, it was. I mean, because you had to learn the dots on everything. Like for Braille, you had to learn what the dots were. It took forever to learn how the dots were. Once you got the hang of it, then it was, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, once you get the hang, like for me, I mean, I've always been two-handed. I've always had my two hands, thank goodness. But I think what you're able to do with what you have, dude, is incredible.
I mean, being one-handed, I'm telling you guys right now, for the folks that will listen or watch this back, if you're one-handed, I'm with you. I mean, it's challenging, but you can do it.
I have a friend that's one-handed. Her name's Angelique. And as a matter of fact, I just got done talking to her, so that, man. That trips me up about the Braille, about learning to write Braille. Like
and learning how to type on a typewriter brailler, yeah, that was challenging.
Yeah. I can only imagine, dude. That was, I mean, it's crazy enough that we have to learn a different way of typing, and that leads into another thing I really want to talk about is the Braille. and the downward trajectory of Braille.
Mm-hmm.
How less and less people are starting to use it.
Yeah, and I can see why, because I mean it's challenging. I mean, once you're not in school anymore, most people, like for me, once I graduated in 2013, instead of reading books by Braille, I would just get books on CD and
Right.
be like, "Oh, this is a heck of a lot easier than reading all that."
Right.
By
And
by feel, I'm like, yeah, your hands would get tired.
true. But I've always held a sentiment for for reading Braille, because that what happens if you know our iPads go out and the power grid gets jammed up for some reason. Look, Hurricane Helene, when it came through here, we had no service, no nothing. We just, we were lucky if we got it. So,
I had to read.
yeah, man. And I've always, I started something at my school. It was called the GMS Benton Braille Club. It
Cool.
basically for people that wanted to learn about Braille, that wanted to learn about it. It was a place for all of them to come and basically get taught by people who are more experienced with it.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of people that wanted to learn, like a lot of people. And it was just, for me, it was more like, okay, more people are starting to go towards more of them iPads. So I don't know if it would have been like that when you were there, but for me, when I was going into the Governor Moorhead School about 2016, 2017. So I was starting to see a lot of people go from, okay, yeah, we need our Braille books, to, okay, well, I can do most of this stuff on my iPad. I don't need Braille. And
Right.
it was like, I just brought up the point, like, what if the power grid goes out? I talked about it then, and I especially believe it now. After the hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, because if your power goes out, then you're kind of like in deep trouble.
Especially if you don't have any Braille books.
Yeah.
And you love reading, and you got everything on Audible or on your phone. Yeah.
Well, and even if the power goes out, you gotta save your battery on your phone, because what if the power is out for a couple weeks? Then you have to use your phone for your alarm.
Yeah, man. I
So
I always would think about stuff like that, and we're that just goes to show how spoiled we are with technology nowadays.
right.
I mean, everybody has an iPad. Back when I was growing up, back when you were growing up, we didn't have all that stuff. So,
I mean, and even when I was growing up, when I was about like 10 or 9, my family got me a phone, and they got me one of those flip phones
yeah.
kind of phones. But when I was about, I say, 12 or 13 years old, that's when they decided, you know what? I'm texting you, you don't know, you're not responding back, so I'm going to get you an iPhone. I'm like, that'd be nice, because then people can text me instead of constantly calling me.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That was like, I was always messing around with phones, and then when I got my first actual phone, it was a flip phone, and my mama had got it for me,
Mm-hmm.
And they got everything set up, got all my contacts in there, told me how to get to them. But it was, it was complicated for me because, we didn't have the screen readers on there like every one of them does now.
Yeah.
So I eventually, like, whenever I was in school, I was always messing around with it, because it was cool. Like, I had my own phone, and I ended up putting it on another language, and somebody had to come in and get it off of it again.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're like, crap.
Yeah, and then when I finally got a phone with a screen reader, like, I didn't even know that TalkBack was on there because it was a Samsung phone, but I didn't know TalkBack was on it until I accidentally, or I went and I asked Mamaw to help me get it on there, and I didn't know how to work it at first.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
well, buddy, I hate to do it, but I hate to do this, but I gotta get going. I got somebody that needs me over in my house.
all right, man. Well, I'm glad to have been able to do this podcast with you, man. So, everybody, subscribe to Skyler Jarvis Media if you like what you're hearing. Go subscribe to my buddy Nick's YouTube channel. We'll put the links in the description. Send me them links, by the way, Nick.
I will do that.
And without further ado, this is Skyler Jarvis and Nick Vogt signing off. Peace!
Ladies and gentlemen, Skyler has left the building. Hey, Bird, don't you want to say anything?